thing that the chairman and our virtual Moorish Science Temple of America is giving honor to, and I give an honor to each and every one of you. So as I'm recording, I got to be cognizant of who and what, who is listening and what the topic is about. And so let me give a brief outline, and I wish that you would indulge me, of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Moorish Science Temple of America, styled as the Noble Temple, is a group of Moorish Americans, all leaders, I must say, all leaders, with the intentions to live out the orthodoxy of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You know, and the orthodoxy of Prophet Noble Drew Ali has not been lived out since the time of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. This is my conclusion. It has not been lived out since the time of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And how do we arrive at that conclusion? We arrive at that conclusion because in a short 3 years of the height of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the accomplishments were such that there was a school connected to every temple. There was a grocery connected to every temple. There was a literature program. There was job skill program. There were even fitness programs. Anybody know about that? There were even fitness programs. There was business leagues. There was sisters auxiliaries. And I can go on and on and on and on and on. And so with that being said, that those things do not exist today, not that I know of. If somebody do know of these things, please point me into that direction so I can be more aware. And so I can assist those that are in the efforts of doing the things, that are making the efforts, that are doing the things with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali demonstrated. You follow me? But because I haven't found those things, and people that have joined the Moorish Science Temple of America, styled as the Noble Temple, haven't found them things, it is incumbent upon us to imitate, demonstrate the Prophet to the most, to the exact letter of what the Prophet demonstrated. And so every Friday, we come together and have our Holy Day meeting. As I said, our new YouTube channel, it's in the body. You can go there. We're going to have a bunch of presentations, slideshows. We're going to bring some of the sheiks on, some of the divine ministers on, and we're going to have conversations on YouTube. And we're going to have our Friday Holy Day streaming from there every Friday, as well as we keep on going from Facebook as we begin to grow and expand. But with that being said, our chapter today is the Pinnacle of Wisdom. Honor to Brother Malik Bey, and his wife, because they struck a chord with me in dealing with this chapter, the Pinnacle of Wisdom. And I always like to say, if you don't have one of these books, it's very important that you get one of these books. Whether you are a Moorish American proclaimed or not, I'm telling you, it is important that you get one of these books, pamphlets, whatever. Because this pamphlet, this book, has the divine plan of the ages as it relates of a human being coming from their physical connection into their divine self. I'm going to say it again. It's all about us coming from our physical connection to our divine self. You follow me? At the end of the day, it's all about you making that connection. Now, in making that connection, one of the things that we have to acknowledge that there are other doctrines that have preceded, that came before Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and most of those doctrines is predicated upon you understanding the image of the prophet or a seer or a divine specimen, giving you an example of what is possible. In other words, the life of Jesus, it's like an example for you to follow. The life of a Muhammad is like an example that you can follow. But if you wasn't living during that time, then of course, quite naturally, you might won't be able to understand that methodology to the letter. You might won't be able to get it to the letter if you wasn't living during that time. But if you were living during that time, then you may be more capable of subscribing and following that example, if you understand what I'm saying. And so when you look at Jesus, right? When you look at Jesus, Jesus gives us an example of what life could be when you achieve the oneness of the Creator. You follow me? So when you look at the life of Muhammad, it's the same thing. It gives you a blueprint from the life of Muhammad of what could be done if you follow the life of Muhammad and try to duplicate it, if you will. So that's why you have in the community called the Sunni community, you have those that say they follow the Sunnah because they want to follow the example of Muhammad. You follow me? Watch where I'm going with this. So when people follow Jesus, they want to be what they will call Christ-like. You follow me? The difference between that and Prophet Noble Drew Ali is he gives you the roadmap to get from your physical self to your Christ self. He gives you the instructions to get from your physical self to your God self. One of the things that we have to come to terms with is that we fake ourselves out as it relates to us understanding who we are. We say we know who we are. We always like to quote that in the book of Genesis, that God breathed forth life and man became a living soul. Well, if that be true, that God breathed forth life and man became a living soul, that would mean that man was dead until the life, the breath of God entered into the physical, which was dirt at the time. So without that part of God, there is no man. That's the fact of the matter. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you subscribe to. Without that breath of God, there is no man. That's the fact of the matter. So when I say that we are a part of God, I mean just that. When Jesus say, I and my Father are one, he means just that. The problem is that you may not understand how to get from the saying, I and my Father are one, to actually being one with that breath that's inside you. Here comes Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Here comes Prophet Noble Drew Ali with a book, a pamphlet called The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And in this book and in this pamphlet, it illustrates the journey of man from the outward part of man's destructive nature to the inward part of his godly existence that never dies. This is what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about. Anybody that studied the Moorish Science Temple of America online and they're not talking about returning to your divine self, not just talking it. We're talking about instructional manual, walking from the outward part of your destructive self into the divine God self. This is what the Moorish Science Temple of America about. The Moorish Science Temple of America is not about playing dress up with a fez, playing dress up with a turban, saying little slick catchphrases. That's not what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about. The Moorish Science Temple of America is about bridling your lower self, your lower nature, reversing your lower nature and transmuting it into a higher frequency. That's what it's about. And so because I had a strong lower nature, by many times when I bound to my lower nature, I was very energetic in my lower nature. I've studied the science of converting that energy into a higher frequency. So I'm still hyper. I'm still very expressive and dramatic in my approach to teaching this. But on the flip side, I was dramatic in my approach to self-destruction. So the energy don't die. You transmute the energy and transfer the energy into your reprobation. That's what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about. When you are able to do that, then you can move forward into nation building. When you can do that, because your mind right, you look in your brother's face, you look in your sister's face, and you see the image of God. You don't kill God. In fact, you can't kill God. That's the only way nation building and community building can take place. When you look in the face of man or woman, you have to see yourself. And you would not attempt to destroy yourself consciously. But in fact, unconsciously, we do that. There is not a book on the planet Earth that I know of that we as a people have utilized to walk from a dead state to an elevated God state. There's not one book that got instructions that tell you. We got some books where people want to interpret that. We got some books where people want to philosophize that. The only book that I know that does that is the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It gives you a holy instruction. It's not a philosophy. It's not a way to philosophize a thing, but it's definitely a philosophy. It's definitely a philosophy. Let's check this out for a minute. Islamism in the most purest form is all about acknowledging your lower self. That's first. Why do I say that's first? I'm telling you from my experience. Acknowledging your lower self. That's first. The reason why that's first is because many of us, we most definitely dwell in our lower self more than our higher self. So it's easy to acknowledge our lower self because many of us, when we wake up, we find ourselves already there. That just makes sense. I mean, we find ourselves already there when we become conscious. So the first step is to acknowledge your lower self. See, many other schools of thought would say that the devil made me do it, or the devil was in me, or you're filled with a devil, or it's principalities and all that. This school of thought called Islamism and the Moorish Science Temple of America forces you to acknowledge the part that you play in the devilish acts that you commit. You must take accountability. That's Islamism. That's Islam. What part did I play? That's Islamism at its finest, Orthodox Islamism. Now, once you can acknowledge the lower vibration and the contribution that you play, then you must acknowledge the higher vibration of man. And the higher vibration of man is the God self. When you can acknowledge that, then you can begin to strive for that God self, which brings us to the pinnacle of wisdom. What is the pinnacle of wisdom? And how do you get there? The pinnacle of wisdom is the highest degree of understanding. It's the highest degree of understanding of the nature of man. What is the nature of man? What is the true nature of man? The pinnacle of wisdom is the highest degree of understanding of the nature of man. What is the true nature of man? There's more to man than the physical body. There's more to man than the vocal cords and the words coming out my mouth. There's more to man. What is man? If we go according to the Bible, if we go according to the Quran, they both basically say the same thing. That man is an extension of the creator that created man. That's just the fact of the matter. I don't care what you believe in. I like to always sometimes do my paper demonstration that when it say God created man and man became a living soul, this is God and God blew forth life and this life was man. This the same paper. It's the same paper. The man became a living soul. It's the same paper. The problem is that man do not acknowledge that this is the same as this. And this is why man is off track. The nature of man is this. But because he has been separated, so he thinks, now he thinks he's different. Man only been separated in thought. He don't think on the frequency of the creator. Therefore, he debases himself from the creator. Now, many people might call that religious, but this is just basic science, which we call Moorish science. If the creator, by whatever name you call the creator, blew life into man, and man is a part of that life force, man is nothing more than that life force. And I keep saying it, and I say it different ways so people can get it in their head that you are no different than the life force of which you came from. So it's easy for you to understand why Jesus say, I and my Father are one. It's easy for you to understand what reaching the state of nirvana or a Buddha is. It's easy for you to understand when you understand that you are part of the great energy, which in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we call Allah. So now, I hope you're learning something because that's just the beginning. Now that you know that you are part of the divine energy, now it's up to you to try to arrive to the state of mind that the divine energy possess. Now the job gets a little bit more complicated. First, you have to acknowledge the divine energy and your lower vibration. Then the next step is try to arrive at the divine energy, the level of the vibration that divine energy possess. That's the next step. Many people like to acknowledge the black man is God, all that stuff. That's right. We goddesses and goddesses. We gods and goddesses. We like to say that. Oh, my Lord. Hey, you are Lord. We like to say that. But many of us do not try to travel the road to really reach that state that Jesus reached. With the Moorish Science Temple of America, under the teachers of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, not Brother Tahaka Bey, under the teachers of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honor to my brother, Aishan Malik Bey, who picked out something that's very critical. When studying Moorish science and Islamism, it's always good to have a dictionary beside you. Because Prophet Noble Drew Ali is an English-speaking prophet. He spoke English. And even in the English language, the divine message can be codified the same way it can be codified in Arabic, the same way it can be codified in other languages. But the divine message can be codified in any language because we are the founders of all languages. And in our divine self, we created languages. How do we know that? Because it teaches us in the divine record that Allah fitted man with language. And when we're talking about a law, we're not talking about a spook. We're talking about our higher consciousness develop a state of communication. I might be going over somebody here right now. Our higher consciousness led us to develop ways to communicate beyond grunts and sounds. Our higher consciousness. And in that, we have found a way to codify a message so anybody cannot get it. Because everything ain't for everybody. You must seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you. Everything ain't for everybody. So there's a codified message. This is why anybody that joined the Moorish Science Temple of America, they must have a teacher. They must have an instructor. They must have a divine minister that who have studied these lessons, have experienced these lessons, and know how to teach these lessons from the divine perspective. Other than that, only thing you're going to get is a bunch of words, blah, 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 blah. It's not going to take root, nor will it take effect, and will it grow into you? No, it won't happen like that. So what I'm going to attempt to do is break down some of these lessons real quick. Our chapter of the day is called The Pinnacle of Wisdom. Why is it so important that we study? Now, this is a small pamphlet. Why did the Prophet Noble Drew Ali see that it was so important for us to be given holy instructions for the pinnacle of wisdom? Why? Out of all the things in the world, he has a chapter called The Pinnacle of Wisdom. Well, let's break it down and let's see if we can decipher this and answer this question. Verse 1 reads, as the eye of the morning to the lark, as the eye of the morning to the lark, as the shade of the evening to the owl, as the honey to the bee, as the carcass to the vulture, even such is life unto the heart of man. As honey to the bee, as the carcass to the vulture, even such is life unto the heart of man. What that means? That means just like a vulture is drawn to a carcass, just like bee is drawn to honey, you should be drawn to the heart of your existence. The nearest place to meet Allah is in the heart. We're not talking about a physical heart. Your energy should naturally be drawn to the heart of your being. If you are drawn to destruction and not drawn to the heart of your being, you are really backwards and twisted. That's the fact of the matter. You know what I'm saying? You are really backwards and twisted. You should be drawn to the heart of your being. Let me try to get this sound out here. Something got me buzzing. Let me try to get this sound out here. Something got me buzzing. But you should be drawn to the heart of your being. Then the Prophet Noble Drew Ali goes in verse 2. He says, though it is bright, we're talking about life, though bright, it dazzled not. Though obscure, it displeases not. Though sweet, it cloyeth not. Though corrupt, it forbiddeth not. Yet who is he that know its true value? He's asking a question. Who knows the true value of life? Who knows the true value of life? Who is he or she that know the true value of life? What I tried to share is that the true value of life is about connecting into your God self and excelling in it. But the thing is, how do you get there? The prophet in verse 3, he says, man, we be running from this wisdom. Listen to the prophet say in verse 3. Learn to esteem as thou art. Then art thou near the pinnacle of wisdom. What do you mean by that, Prophet Noble Drew Ali? Learn to esteem as thou art. What that mean is mayat. That mean is don't raise yourself too high and don't leave yourself too low. Have a balanced measure. Learn to. In other words, many of us don't know how to esteem ourselves. We overesteem ourselves, or we have no esteem whatsoever. Learn to esteem as thou art, and thou art near the pinnacle of wisdom. So that's the first degree. Stop thinking so highly of yourself and stop thinking so lowly of yourself. Find the middle ground. Then you are near the pinnacle of wisdom. In other words, be honest with yourself. Where are you on this journey? Anybody never asked themselves that question? What is this all about? Where am I really at? What do I really know? And what am I really guessing at? Learn to esteem as thou art. Then art thou near the pinnacle of wisdom. Let me drop down for a minute. At the end of the day, this is all about, at the end of the day, family, this is all about, as Sister Malik Bey said, I'll say it in a different way, but it's basically the same thing. Finding a way to detach yourself to the lower energy of the flesh of this physical world. To be, as Jesus said, to be in the world, but not of the world. Stop having the world define you and who you truly are. It's about defining yourself of another dimension, of your higher self. That's what it's about. You follow me? That's what it's about. It's about understanding that your higher self is your God self, and you must connect to it so you can express it and express its full potential. It can't be ego, nor can it be, and it's the same thing, but I say it another way, it can't be self-serving. But let's go through verse 7. It says, would the fish swallow the bait if he knew the hook was hidden therein? I use that on Moorish World TV a lot. Would the fish swallow the hook if he knew? Would the fish swallow the bait if he knew the hook was hidden therein? Whether you know it or not, on your journey, you are given certain pathways. Many of them that trip up on these pathways don't realize that these pathways was meant for you to go that way so it can bring out the person that is going to elevate you into your divine self. But most of us, when we trip up upon these pathways, we become the trip that we tripped up on. We become that energy, when in fact, there's a hook, there's a worm You went that way for a purpose, whether you know it or not. But the thing is when you trip on that journey, know for sure that's a part of the journey to bring out the greater you. Overcome that trip, dust yourself off. Greater things are yet to come. What we talking about? We're talking about the pinnacle of wisdom. Would the fish swallow the bait if he knew the hook were hidden therein? Sometimes, most of the times on this journey, we go left so we can learn the lesson to bring out the best of us. But many of us, we go left, attracted to left, and we become the left. And we become the left. Islamism and the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, on every path that you go left, there is a right exit off of it. There's an exit off the beltway of going left. But many of us, we stay on the beltway. In Baltimore, in every major city, there's a beltway that surrounds the city. And Baltimore is 695. I don't know what it is in your city, but in every city, there's a beltway. In Baltimore, it's 695. And so if you know what I'm talking about, you're a driver, you know around your city, there's a beltway that's circling. It probably ends with a 5 too, or odd number. But whatever the case may be, many of us get on this beltway and we never want to get off. We're just cruising. We take the wrong turn and next thing we know, we on the beltway. Anybody ever do that? You ever been driving somewhere and like, man, wow, man, I done jumped on this beltway. And in life, that's what we do. But just like the beltway of your physical car and destination, there's exits at every few miles. There's exits at every few miles. And Allah gives you these exits at every few miles. But our foolish, silly self, we want to keep on riding, looking at the signs. Get off the beltway. Get your marbles together and find out where you're going. That's Islamism. That's at the pinnacle of wisdom that you're trying to get to. But you can't get there. You can't get there if you don't get off the beltway, if you don't get off the hamster wheel. You got to slow down the ethers and see what you're working with. And then you can start the engine up and try again. So again, listen to the wisdom. Would the fish follow the bait? If he knew that the hook was hidden therein, some of the left ways that we go are meant for us to go that way. It's just bait. It's bait. It baited us. So Allah can educate us. It says, would the lion, I love this one, would the lion enter the toils if he knew, would the lion enter the toils if he saw they were prepared for him? For all of you Moorish, I'm going to give y'all some degrees now. Y'all ready? For all the Moorish scientists out here think they know something, I'm going to share something with you. In this verse 7 of the Pinnacle of Wisdom, if you claim to be a leader, if you claim to be an instructor, if you claim to be a teacher, know what you're reading when you open up this Quran. You're reading something divine. You're reading a divine message from on high, from the most essence of the universe. When you know this, anything else becomes elementary. It's just what it is. I like all books of wisdom, all books of knowledge. But when you read this, when you practice this, when you demonstrate this, ain't nothing touching it. I'm about to give you some science right now. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, would the lion enter the toils if he saw they were prepared for him? Question 1. Who is the lion? The rulers and the rich. Prophet Noble Drew Ali say, Moors, take your place in the affairs of men. I'm going to rewind. Who is the lions? The rulers and the rich. Anybody study their Quran? Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, take your place in the affairs of men. Would the lion enter the toils if he saw that it was prepared for him? Anybody can catch that? As Jesus would say, can you hear me? Can you receive that? In other words, P. Diddy said bad boys move in silence. This is a science right here to get us up out of this condition that we find ourselves in. Yet, we haven't been able to demonstrate the first lesson in verse 3. Learn to esteem as thou art. We always want to be seen. You see, we don't understand that some people move in certain vibrational circles in order to demonstrate verse 7. This is how we get up out of here. We have a God mind. The universal creator is in us. There is no reason that we should be suffering in the way that we do. There is no reason for this. The reason why we suffer the way we do is because we don't tap into our God intelligence. We tap into dogmatic cultural overtones, and we think that's religion. Somebody see a fast, they think that's religion. Somebody see a bow tie button, they think that's religion. Somebody see somebody praying, somebody covering their face, they think that's religion. That's dogmatic cultural overtones, and it never freed the people. More or less educated them. The Moorish Science Temple of America and Islamism is about tapping into your God self, your God intelligence. Y'all with me on this? It's about tapping into your God intelligence. You have God intelligence. Look at the God intelligence. Don't the moon shine at night? Don't the sun shine at day? Don't the river keep going and going and going and going? That's God intelligence at work. You got God intelligence. You just haven't tapped into it. This is the problem with us, that we don't believe in God intelligence no more. We believe what the latest books say. We believe what the latest philosophers say. When in fact, you don't even need a book for your God intelligence to be expressed. You just got to acknowledge that it exists, and then you work towards tapping into it. Fortunately, for me, I got the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America because I was so far gone, I needed a GPS. I needed a God positioning system. I needed a GPS. When you look at the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that 7 in that circle ain't nothing but a compass. I needed a God positioning system because I was that far gone. I was that far gone. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali says in verse 8, to Sister Malik Bay point, verse 8 expresses that. As the bird enclosed in the cage before it seeth, yet teareth not his flesh against its sides. So neither labor thou vainly too. 1 second. Neither, I want to hold that for a minute. I want you to hold that. As the bird, think about this. We call them a bird brain. As the bird enclosed in the cage, before he seeth it, yet teareth not his flesh against the side. What that is narrating is when somebody catches a bird and put a bird into a trap. The bird finds himself enclosed in this cage before you even know it's a cage. Yet this bird does not panic to get out of the cage. The bird gonna sit and chill till you slip and open that door, and that bird gonna dip on you. That's what that is narrating. So Prophet Noble Ali says, so neither labor thou vainly, to run the state thou in, but know it is allotted to thee. In other words, the state that we're in, you know what we should be doing? Is that the opening? That's it? Is that the opening? And when you discover the teachings of the Prophet Noble Ali and you subscribe to him, you realize that's the opening. That's the opening. The one that you call a bird brain is sitting there waiting for those who trapped him, those that captured him, those that tricked him to open the cage up. We so crazy, we look at the Holy Quran, we look at this as something as a mundane story. In fact, what this is saying is, when the cage is open, the bird flees. Prophet Noble Ali came with a message, a divine message. In other words, the door is open. He said, labor not in vain. Know that the station was allotted unto thee. In other words, you could not figure it out. So now we got the door. The only thing we got to do is come together and execute the divine plan of the ages. It's just as simple as that. Just as simple as that. But it's going to take a wise person to understand the divine plan of the ages. It's going to take other divine people to understand the sacrifice it takes for us to come together and to make this happen. Do we need everybody? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because everybody ain't coming anyway. Some of them going to be dead weight. So we don't want that anyway. But what we do need is those that is conscious of their God self. That's what we do need. Because the ones that is conscious of their God self is the ones that are going to give their heart, mind, soul, even unto their very life to see this plan through. But we do it from our God intelligence, not from the Negro emotion. The Negro emotion will get us nowhere. We got to get it from our God intelligence. They say get it from the mud. Well, the mud, I've used the terminology too. The mud is good to get it from the mud, but once you get it from the mud, transform the mud into a bird. Anybody read the Quran? Say Jesus looked at the dust and turned it into a bird and it took off. This ain't nothing but dust right here. Can you transform this into a bird? Do you know why the European put wings on a human being and call it an angel? Because you got to transform yourself into a bird. You got to transform yourself into a phoenix. You can imagine, y'all already be talking like Reb Chickfoot up here. You got to transform yourself. In the Holy Quran of Mecca, it talks about Jesus turned dust into a bird. And it came to life. You got to turn this dust into a bird. You got to fly above and see the things that's really going on. The pinnacle of wisdom. You must raise up high so you can see what's really going on. This chapter is called the Pinnacle of Wisdom. You must raise your thoughts to infinite wisdom so you can see omnipotence displayed before you. The pinnacle of wisdom, the highest point. Many of us don't want to strive for the highest point. To get to the highest point, it takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of humbling yourself. It takes a lot of, I don't know. And you know, that's one of the hardest things for us. One of the hardest things for us is to say that we don't know. We will freestyle and acting like we do know. We will argue people down back and forth as opposed to just saying, I don't know. The moment that you say you don't know, that is when the teacher will appear. And if you want to know, just say you don't know. and then the teacher will appear. That's just how nature works. Let me read a couple more verses out this real quick before I wrap it up. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali says this, 23. And I gotta use this few verses before I get out of here, because the state of the world that we're living in right now, that everybody is in an uproar, everybody looking at how, the systematic racism is, and the scales of justice are so imbalanced. In verse 23, Prophet Noble Drew Ali teaches us, man who dares enslave the world when he knows he can enjoy his tyranny but for a moment. What would he not aim at if he were immortal? Those that has enslaved myself and yourself, as well as the world in days of past, and continue to try to do it systematically through music, through TV, through internet, and whatever. It says those who dare to enslave the world when he knows he can enjoy his tyranny but for a moment, what would he not aim at if he were immortal? What the prophet is trying to tell you is that this oppression is not going to end until you end it. Because those who would enslave the world, what wouldn't he try? The trickery is more slick. What wouldn't he try to do if he was immortal? In other words, this oppression will not stop because he is going to stop. This oppression will only stop when you execute the divine plan of the ages and make it stop. The prophet tell us that what would he aim at if he was immortal? In other words, if he was immortal, this will go on forever if he had his way. Listen to what it says. Man who dares to enslave the world when he knows his tyranny, he knows he can enjoy his tyranny, but for just such a moment. He know he can't live on this oppression on the backs of other people forever, but he don't care. Then the last one say, what would he not aim at if he were immortal? This ain't going to stop until you stop it. So you can march, you can protest, you can beg, you can do all that you want. This is why every march is a recycle of another march, a recycled march of before, a recycle of a march of before. Anytime somebody march, you need to question their integrity. They might be selling you out. Nothing wrong with a march to bring awareness sometimes. But if we want resolution and solution, we got to change the script. We got to flip the script. And flipping the script involves us to acknowledge that we must have a central authority. We must have a central leader. We must follow the central intelligence. And that central leader must speak by the way of that central intelligence. And the central intelligence is no other than Almighty God, the creator, Allah, the universal creator, whatever you choose to call it this day and time. And the central authority must represent the whole constituents and say what it gonna be. Ain't no begging, ain't no crying, what it gonna be. The oppression is here. Nobody is going to go through all of these. Listen, no one is going to go through all of these changes to enslave you, to release you, to keep the chains on your mind, to now all of a sudden, it's like in the penitentiary or central booking, you're free to go. No. The slavery just intensifies. it becomes more elaborate. It becomes a battle of the wits. This is where the Moorish American need to step in. It becomes the battle of the wits, the battle of intelligence. Intelligence rules. Ignorance become the slave. Ignorance become the slave. You don't have to like it. If you are in a state of ignorance, you are a slave. Period, point blank. And in order to get up out of this thing that we are in right this hour, the only thing going to get us up out of this, we're going to have to come together, have some patience so we can execute the divine plan of the ages. Everyone have to be a priest unto themselves so they can help and be a priest to others. Cease to look for your heaven in the sky. Cease to look for your Savior from afar. Look within. And if you find the God within, you find the Savior within, you connect with me, I connect with you, we move on one vibration, game over. Game over. We can start with 10, we can start with 15, we can start with 30, we can start with 100. Know that along the way, as a collective, there's going to be bumps and bruises. As a collective, there are going to be journeys along the way where we might even have to go into a corner and discuss it. But nevertheless, the goal is to get the iron hand of oppression off our neck. And now, the pinnacle of wisdom is understanding this one thing, and I'm done. Understanding that you are God, microcosmic God. Now it's up to you to understand how God works as he set the universe in motion, if you will, and how the universe stays its course. You must tap into that God self, and you must stay the course of that God self, if you will. So above, so below. You must stay the course of that God self. You must do it with a collective, or there is no liberation. With that being said, I yield the floor. Family, the pinnacle of wisdom is acknowledging your God self and working your way towards it. Sit. Working your way towards it. Your God self, let me see. Your God self is the self that need to connect with my God self. They need to connect with my God self. And when our God self connect, no matter what shortcoming we have, we know that we're going to bounce from it. But I think in a short year or two, we should be right where Prophet Noble Drew Ali left us and let the next generation take it to the next level. That's the Noble Temple's way. With that being said, Islam, peace, and love. I yield the floor to Quincy Robinson L. Sorry about the technical difficulties. This is the first time I tried this. I'm live on 3 different platforms. I'm here on Zoom. I'm here on where I'm at right there, YouTube. I'm here on Facebook. Next week, I'm going to be there on IG. We're going to get this message out. So sorry for the technical difficulties and moving things around. But I'm telling you, family, please connect with the Noble Temples. Become a member. Become a member. Sacrifice. Become a member. Sacrifice. Get with the plan. We're about to execute this plan on the ground. We're about to execute this plan on the ground like never before. Sacrifice, get with the Noble Temples. With that being said, peace and love, family. If somebody can put the Noble Temples link in the comment section of Facebook, so if those that want to get with us, let them get with us. But I'm really enthusiastic when it comes to trying to put this message on the ground. I'm ready like yesterday now. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait till I raise the finance and I say, Brother Malik Bey, catch a flight to such and such. Scott L., catch a flight to such and such. Razzie now, catch a flight, and et cetera, et cetera. Catch a flight to such and such. Yeah, we coming to this rally. We coming to this march. We coming to this protest. And we ain't coming to protest. We coming to redirect the energy. We coming to redirect the energy to true resolution. But it's going to take some sacrifice. We got to get these lessons right. We can't be talking that same little stuff that them old Moors used to talk that ain't done nothing. If that talk was so good, it would have been done something by now. We got to talk that Drew Ali talk. we got to talk that Drew Ali talk. You know what I mean? That Drew Ali talk, where Drew Ali could go on a corner on the south side of Chicago with nothing but killers, gangsters, thugs, prostitutes. And he can convert their lives, transmute their lives to become a driving force, to make every politician want to rock with him, to make every celebrity want to rock with him, to make every big powered attorney want to rock with him, to make all the people who was somebody want to rock with the Moors. We ain't been there since the time of the prophet. So we need to get there. I mean, the only way we're going to get there, we're going to have to speak the language that Prophet Noble Drew Ali spoke. We don't speak the language of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. We speak that fake language that these Moors be trying to teach, talk about. They demonstrate in Moorish science. Nah. We need to get away from that nonsense. And that's why I say those who join the Moorish Science Temple of America, styled as the Noble Temples, you're going to have some staying power. You're going to have some fortitude. You're going to have to resist, because sometimes the lower self be like, man, listen. I remember one time I even thought like, man, I can go ahead and just focus on my business for 3 years and come back to this. I can be a millionaire. I got that type of talent. You know what I mean? I got that type of talent. You know what I mean? With the work that I do. You know what I mean? Property management, all that stuff. Man, I can go back, come back to this. But guess what? I know my lessons. Look at the world. Remember the Lord said to Jesus, look at the world. You want all that? Just bow to me. Man, get out of here, man. I ain't messing with you. I'm good. I'm going to stick with Islamism and Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and all things will be added unto me. With that being said, family, let me yield the floor to Brother Quincy Robinson now. The floor is yours, brother.